I'm unapologetic and I'm unwavering about it. What I won't do is be quiet. I won't go away.
Monique has never been afraid to speak out, especially when it comes to powerful Hollywood elites like Diddy. And now, a shocking courtroom testimony claims Diddy once said Monique would never be believed. Let's break down what the survivor revealed and why people think this moment could change everything. Monique's battle in Hollywood. Now, before we get into this piping hot gossip, let me set the scene for y'all. First, let's talk about where Monique stands in the industry. If you don't know her story, you've been living under a rock. This sister has been through the ringer with Hollywood elites for years. Monique ain't one to hold her tongue, and that's put her at odds with some of the biggest names in the game. We're talking Oprah, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels. She's called all of them out.
I said no to Oprah Winfrey. I said no to Tyler Perry. I said no to Lee Daniels. And I said no to Lionsgate. And the difficulty came in when people that look like me, like Oprah, Tyler, Lee Daniels, and I gotta put my brother Steve on the list. Y'all knew I was not wrong.
See, Monique got labeled as difficult in the industry just for standing up for herself. That's like calling someone aggressive just because they ain't letting you walk all over them. The way Hollywood did her dirty is straight up shameful.
I got labeled as difficult, my husband and I, and my husband is Sydney, who happens to be my manager. We got labeled as difficult because I said one word, and that was no. Now, I said no to some very powerful people.
But here's where it gets even crazier. Monique wasn't just battling on one front, she had beef with Netflix too. Remember when she called for that boycott? She was fighting for equal pay, trying to get what she deserved as an Oscar-winning actress. And what happened? The industry painted her as bitter and unreasonable. Like, imagine if a white male comedian with her resume asked for that same money, they would have handed it over with a smile and a thank you note.
But when you say, Mo, it's the way you want about it, and I want to explain that, and I thank you for saying that. Inequality is devastating. And it's extreme.
And let's be real, this pattern of black women in entertainment being silenced and discredited is nothing new. It's like the industry has this playbook: discredit, dismiss, and destroy. They did it to Janet Jackson after the Super Bowl, to Gabrielle Union at America's Got Talent, and they tried to do it to Monique too. Now, during her conversation with Steve Harvey, Monique kept it a buck about how the game works. She talked about integrity versus money, and Steve wasn't having it. He was like, this is the money game, but Monique wasn't backing down.
But we're in the money game, and you cannot sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them. You cannot help them.
We're in the money game, but let me tell you what the game is before the money game.
Like
before the money game, it's called the integrity game. And we've lost the integrity worrying about the money.
Preach, Monique. She was spitting nothing but facts. The industry wants to make examples out of people who stand up for themselves, especially black women. Here's where things get even messier. Kevin Hart allegedly extended an olive branch to Monique, offering to help her career after all the drama. He even wrote her a check when she was struggling. But then, according to Monique, he switched up on her.
I said, good Kevin, because we're in a deal with Endemol, and we're trying to get our talk show back. Mo, whatever it is, I got you.
But then, plot twist, after promising to partner with her.
And Dave Becky said Kevin doesn't want anything to do with Monique. So whatever she told y'all, he doesn't want to do anything with her, nothing. You know, he doesn't want any kind of relationship with Monique.
Can you believe that? The audacity. This shows the kind of behind-the-scenes manipulation that goes on in the industry. One minute they're your friend, the next they're telling executives they want nothing to do with you. It's snake behavior, period. Now, where does Diddy come into all this? The allegations against Diddy have been piling up faster than student loan debt. We're talking over 63 lawsuits at this point, with charges ranging from assault to sex trafficking. It's wild, y'all. Diddy's trial began on May 5th, 2025, and the things coming out in court would make even the most hardcore hip-hop fans' jaw drop. His ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, has been testifying about years of alleged abuse, and the details are honestly too disturbing to repeat verbatim here. During the trial, some shocking statements were made. One witness allegedly said,
She said Diddy got semen recipes.
She said a lot yesterday that sets them up for the landing. They just haven't landed the plane.
I mean, what? Semen recipes? I can't even begin to unpack that one for our younger viewers, but you grown folks know exactly what that means. The things coming out in this trial are beyond scandalous. And get this, Amber Rose, who's been to pretty much every Diddy party since 2009, had some interesting things to say about these infamous gatherings.
I've been to every puff party. I've been to every white party since 2009. I've been to every party, and
you go in the right room, not the wrong room.
I don't think there's rooms, Chan.
Amber's saying there weren't different rooms at these parties, but she does acknowledge that if there were any inappropriate activities happening, they must have been on completely different days.
I'm gonna be honest. Now look, I'm gonna be very, very transparent on the show. If these freak-offs are happening, it's on a completely different day than the actual puff parties.
Day, okay.
It's not that day.
So what does all this have to do with Monique? Think about it. Monique has been vocal about industry exploitation for years. She's called out some of the biggest names in entertainment. Is it so far-fetched that someone like Diddy, with all his power and connections, might have tried to discredit her too? That's the million-dollar question, folks. But before we jump to conclusions, let's look at what Monique herself has said about the entertainment industry's power players. In her eyes, they're not just wealthy, they're morally bankrupt.
So we have to call those people to the mat and say, listen, what are you teaching our babies? You're feeding poison because you're showing them your private jet. I'm gonna show you my mansion, I'm gonna show you my fancy cars, but my character is shot and I'm bankrupt.
Preach. Monique is calling out the fakeness, the emptiness behind all that flash and cash. And let's be honest, with everything coming out about Diddy right now, doesn't her assessment seem spot on? In the courtroom, witnesses have been painting a disturbing picture of what allegedly went down at Diddy's infamous gatherings. One courtroom reporter noted,
I think that if anything, you walked away believing that this woman could have been taken advantage of.
It's only day 2, y'all.
But they also said people were leaving during, then people were snapping and sleeping. Was that true as well?
People felt like the prosecution was taking too long to get gut punched.
The testimony has been so shocking that people in the courtroom were reportedly falling asleep during parts of it, not because it wasn't disturbing, but because the prosecution was taking so long to get to the main points. That's like watching a horror movie where the director spends 45 minutes on character development before showing the monster. We get it. Let's get to the scary stuff already. Let's look more closely at Diddy's ongoing trial, the testimonies that have emerged, and what they might reveal about how power operates in the entertainment industry. And let's see how Monique being targeted. Diddy's dark empire and the trial exposing it all. Alright, so let's talk about what's going down with Diddy's trial. This man is facing some serious charges, y'all. We're talking racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation for purposes of prostitution. Like, this ain't just some celebrity scandal, this is federal crime territory. The trial kicked off on May 12, 2025, and is expected to run for at least 2 months. 2 months of dirty laundry being aired out in public. That's longer than most celebrity marriages these days. The feds must have a mountain of evidence to justify that timeline. Now, one of the key witnesses in this case is Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend. This woman has been through the absolute ringer, and now she's finally getting to tell her story in court. The courage it takes to face your abuser like that? Unmatched. She deserves all her flowers just for showing up. Cassie's testimony has allegedly included some truly disturbing details about physical abuse, sexual coercion, and these notorious freak-offs that supposedly went down at Diddy's parties. The prosecution has been building their case carefully, trying to establish a pattern of behavior.
They kept asking her a lot of the same questions about the drugs they were taking, but what I think that the prosecution was building is they were building character around this witness.
That's smart strategy. They're not just presenting isolated incidents, they're showing the jury that this was a systematic pattern of abuse and exploitation. It's like they're building a house brick by brick, and when they're done, Diddy's defense ain't gonna have a leg to stand on. And let's talk about these other anonymous victims, who are also expected to testify. The prosecution has been fighting for them to be able to testify anonymously, referred to only as victims 2, 3, and 4. Why? To protect them from embarrassment and stigma. I mean, can you blame them? Look at how the media tries to tear down women who speak out against powerful men. These victims are probably terrified of having their names dragged through the mud. But here's where it gets interesting. Monique has been vocal about Diddy's associates, particularly T.D. Jakes and Tyler Perry. Why? Because apparently there was a lawsuit filed by someone named Rodney Jones, a former producer for Bad Boy Records, that claimed Diddy was planning to leverage his relationship with T.D. Jakes to soften the blow from Cassie's lawsuit. That's like trying to use your pastor friend as a character witness after you got caught stealing from the collection plate. The audacity is real. Now, y'all might be wondering about these infamous Diddy parties that everyone's talking about. Amber Rose, who's been to practically all of them, had this to say.
I said, Ray, did they ever invite you to a freak off? Because they never invited me. And I done been at these parties. I just feel like, why I didn't get the invite?
Because they know you don't get down like that.
Interesting, right? Amber's basically saying that if these inappropriate gatherings were happening, she wasn't invited because people knew she didn't get down like that. This suggests there was some kind of selection process for who got invited to the after parties. That's like having a VIP section, super exclusive and apparently super shady. Monique has been battling powerful people in the entertainment industry for years. She's called out Oprah, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, Steve Harvey, and even Kevin Hart. She's made it her mission to expose the exploitation and unfair treatment that goes on behind the scenes.
But you hear on the audio that a man told David Talbert I was difficult to work with. Do you see how that cost my family?
Yes.
And with no accountability, because, oh, it's the great Tyler Perry. No, you've got to be accountable for that. Oprah Winfrey, you've got to be accountable for the things you've done with my family. You've got to be accountable for that.
Is there any relationship between you and Tyler and you and Oprah currently?
No. When we have our juggernauts, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, these are our juggernauts of our community. These are the people that our babies say, when I grow up, I want to be that. Yes. I want to be like that.
Is it so hard to believe that Diddy, another industry powerhouse, might have tried to discredit her too? The man allegedly has a history of trying to silence those who might speak against him, according to the current trial testimonies. What's particularly interesting is how the entertainment industry seems to close ranks against those who speak out. Monique experienced this firsthand when she stood up to Netflix about pay inequality. Instead of supporting her, many of her peers distanced themselves or, worse, criticized her approach.
When you called me with the morning show on the phone, I said to you, Steve, my family is suffering behind this. And y'all know I did nothing wrong. Y'all know my husband did nothing wrong.
This is the part that breaks my heart, y'all. Monique was fighting a just battle, and her own community left her hanging. That's like your family watching you get jumped and just standing there taking video instead of helping you. The betrayal is real. Think about it. When women like Monique, Gabrielle Union, or Janet Jackson speak up about injustice in the industry, they're often labeled as difficult, angry, or unreasonable. Their careers suffer, while the men they called out continue to thrive. That's not a coincidence. It's a strategy. In Diddy's case, if the allegations are true, he had a lot to hide. A lot. So it would make sense for him to try to preemptively discredit anyone who might speak against him. And Monique, with her history of being outspoken, might have been seen as a threat. Let's look at what we know about the trial so far. Cassie Ventura has allegedly testified about years of abuse, including claims that Diddy beat her, raped her, and coerced her into various situations. There's supposedly even hotel security footage from 2016 that supports some of her claims. What's particularly disturbing about this case is the alleged pattern of behavior over decades. This wasn't just one incident, it was supposedly a systematic exploitation of multiple victims over many years. That's like having a serial shoplifter who's been hitting the same store for 20 years. At some point, you gotta wonder how they got away with it for so long, and that's where the power dynamics come in. Diddy isn't just wealthy, he's influential. He has connections throughout the entertainment industry, politics, and business. That kind of power can be used to silence victims, squash stories, and maintain a pristine public image while hiding all manner of sins behind closed doors. Monique has been talking about these power dynamics for years. She's been trying to tell us how the entertainment industry really works.
I got a lot of money in my bank. It's more zeros than we can imagine. But their character, they are bankrupt. Those are bankrupt people.
She's hitting the nail on the head here. These industry moguls might have all the money in the world, but their character is in the negative. They've sacrificed their integrity, their morals, and their humanity on the altar of wealth and success. And the people who end up paying the price are often young, vulnerable individuals just trying to make it in a cutthroat industry. Now let's talk about accountability. Monique has been consistent in calling for people to take responsibility for their actions. When Lee Daniels finally owned up to his part in damaging her career, she was willing to forgive and move forward.
He owned it and he took accountability for it. I can't now keep you to the cross because you've owned it.
Right.
I've had to be forgiven.
Right.
So I appreciate that someone had grace and mercy with me. So I'm gonna have that with other people when they take accountability for what they've done.
That's growth right there. Monique isn't out for blood. She just wants acknowledgement and accountability. But so far, it doesn't seem like Diddy is taking that route. Instead, he's pleaded not guilty and is fighting the charges, potentially facing life imprisonment if convicted. It's time to look at Monique's ongoing battle for justice and recognition, how it parallels with what we're seeing in the Diddy trial, and what this all means for the future of the entertainment industry. Accountability and the road ahead. The entertainment industry has a long history of silencing and discrediting those who speak out, especially women, and particularly black women. Monique has experienced this firsthand throughout her career. Remember what Monique said about the industry powerhouses she's called out.
So everybody that Kat sat right here and told you about, I can't wait to see your next interviews with those people.
They ain't coming on now, Mo.
Invite them.
I have.
They not gonna do it?
Well, look, I've already done Steve. I have a relationship with Steve.
Do him again. Do him again. And I'm going to say this.
I'm trying to get Oprah and Tyler, though.
Baby, we got him. Y'all, come on, stop playing.
Monique is calling out the fact that these industry juggernauts aren't willing to face tough questions or be held accountable. They'll appear on friendly platforms where they won't be challenged, but put them in a situation where they might have to answer for their actions. Suddenly, they're unavailable. That's like a student who only raises their hand when they know the answer. It's weak. And this pattern of avoiding accountability is exactly what we're seeing with Diddy right now. Rather than owning up to his actions, he's pleaded not guilty and is fighting the charges, potentially facing life imprisonment if convicted. What's particularly disturbing about the Diddy case is the alleged length of time over which these behaviors occurred. If the allegations are true, this wasn't just a one-time thing. It was a systematic exploitation that went on for decades. How does someone get away with that for so long? It comes down to power, influence, and the code of silence that exists in the entertainment industry. Monique has been trying to break that code of silence for years. She's been willing to sacrifice her own career to speak truth to power. And while we can debate her methods or approach, there's no denying her courage.
If I crumble, my children crumble, my grandchildren crumble. I cannot, for the sake of my integrity, stand up here and let everybody that's counting on me crumble so I can make a statement. There are ways to win the war in a different way.
This exchange between Monique and Steve Harvey highlights the impossible choice that whistleblowers often face. Stand up for what's right and potentially lose everything, or play the game and compromise your integrity. It's like being asked to choose between your principles and your paycheck, a choice no one should have to make. Speaking of integrity, Monique had some powerful words about the entertainment industry's priorities.
Before the money game, it's called the integrity game. And we've lost the integrity worrying about the money.
Facts. The industry has become so focused on profit that it's willing to overlook all manner of sins as long as the checks keep clearing. This mentality is what allows powerful predators to operate with impunity for years. They're protected because they're profitable. Now, let's talk about the current state of Diddy's trial. As of May 15th, 2025, Cassie Ventura has been testifying about their past relationship and allegations of abuse. The trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks, with multiple victims scheduled to testify. The charges against Diddy are extremely serious: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation for purposes of prostitution. If convicted, he could face life in prison. This isn't just a celebrity scandal, it's a federal case with life-altering consequences. What's especially noteworthy is how the prosecution is building their case. They're not just presenting isolated incidents, they're establishing a pattern of behavior over time. This methodical approach suggests they have substantial evidence to support their charges.
They kept asking her a lot of the same questions about the drugs they were taking, but what I think that the prosecution was building is they were building character around this witness.
By building character around their witnesses, the prosecution is preemptively countering attempts to discredit them, a common tactic in cases involving powerful defendants. They're essentially saying, we know you're going to try to paint our witnesses as unreliable or untrustworthy, so we're going to establish their credibility right from the start. Now, let's circle back to Monique. While there's no direct evidence linking Monique and Diddy in the context of this trial, Monique's experiences in the industry echo many of the patterns we're seeing in the Diddy case. Both stories involve powerful figures using their influence to silence and discredit others. What makes Monique's story particularly relevant is her willingness to call out industry power players by name. She didn't just hint at wrongdoing, she specifically called out Oprah, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, and others. That kind of directness comes with consequences, as she discovered. Monique has used her comedy as a weapon against injustice, refusing to be silenced even when it cost her career opportunities. That's like having a sword that cuts through all the industry BS. Comedy gives her the power to speak truths that might otherwise be suppressed. So what does this mean for Monique and her long-standing battle against industry exploitation? In many ways, the Diddy trial is validating what she's been saying for years, that the entertainment industry harbors and protects powerful abusers, that money takes precedence over morality, and that those who speak out are often silenced and discredited. Monique has paid a heavy price for her outspokenness. Her career opportunities dried up, her reputation was damaged, and she was labeled as difficult, all because she refused to go along with a system she saw as exploitative. But despite all that, she's remained steadfast.
And when people said, Monique, do you think calling a boycott was extreme? You damn right. But isn't inequality extreme? So we've got to get to a place where we're unafraid to say it out loud.
Okay.
What I would have loved, what I would have appreciated from my brother was had you picked up the phone before you went on the air and said, Monique, you've burned too many bridges and there's nothing I can do.
That right there is the crux of the matter. The industry's response to those who speak out is often more extreme than the act of speaking out itself. The punishment doesn't fit the crime, so to speak. Monique didn't commit any offense. She simply stood up for herself and asked for fair treatment. Yet the industry blackballed her as if she'd committed some unforgivable sin. Similarly, the women testifying against Diddy need our support. They're taking an enormous risk by coming forward, potentially subjecting themselves to public scrutiny, victim blaming, and character assassination. The least we can do is listen to them with open minds and resist the urge to dismiss or discredit their stories. Because here's the truth. False allegations of sexual assault are rare. Studies consistently show that only a small percentage of reported sexual assaults are false, while the vast majority are true, but never reported due to fear of exactly the kind of treatment these women are likely to face. So when multiple women come forward with similar stories about the same person, the statistical likelihood is that they're telling the truth. The parallels between Monique's experiences and what we're seeing in the Diddy trial are striking. In both cases, we have powerful industry figures allegedly using their influence to exploit others. In both cases, the victims were allegedly silenced through various means: fear, intimidation, contractual obligations, or character assassination. And in both cases, the truth only began to emerge when brave individuals decided that the cost of silence was greater than the cost of speaking out. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a few thoughts to consider. First, remember that where there's smoke, there's often fire. When multiple people make similar allegations against the same person or institution, it's worth paying attention. Monique's criticisms of the entertainment industry aren't happening in a vacuum. They're part of a broader pattern of exploitation and abuse that's only now beginning to be fully exposed. Second, think about the role we all play in either maintaining or challenging systems of power. When we dismiss victims' stories, when we continue to support abusers because we enjoy their work, when we blame victims for not coming forward sooner or for not leaving abusive situations, we're part of the problem. We're contributing to a culture where powerful people can act with impunity because they know the public will ultimately side with them. And finally, consider what true accountability looks like. It's not just about punishing individuals for their actions, though that's certainly part of it. It's about changing the systems and structures that enabled those actions in the first place. It's about creating an environment where victims feel safe coming forward, where powerful abusers can't hide behind their money and influence, and where the truth is valued above profit and convenience. Monique has been fighting for this kind of accountability for years, often at great personal cost. Whether or not she has any direct connection to the Diddy case, her story is a crucial piece of the larger narrative about power, exploitation, and accountability in the entertainment industry. What are your thoughts on Monique exposing industry secrets? Share your thoughts in the comments below and click on the cards on screen for more powerful stories. Diddy, the iconic music mogul and founder of Bad Boy Records, now finds himself in a place far removed from the spotlight. Recently incarcerated at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, Diddy's final moments behind bars have revealed shocking truths about his time in prison. Facing charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and exploitation, the luxurious lifestyle he once knew is gone, replaced by the harsh realities of prison life. From his struggles with prison food to being placed on suicide watch, these revelations have reshaped public perception of the man once considered untouchable in the music world. Diddy's last moments in prison. Diddy finds himself entangled in a legal battle that has landed him behind bars at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. As the founder of Bad Boy Records, Diddy is no stranger to the limelight, but this time it's for all the wrong reasons. Charged with serious offenses, including racketeering conspiracy, Diddy faces a future that starkly contrasts his once glamorous lifestyle. His attorney, Mark Agnifilo, has recently revealed the most challenging aspect of Diddy's incarceration, and it's not what you might expect. Locked up since September 17th, 2024, Diddy is now a resident of one of the most notorious detention centers in the United States. Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, often referred to as MDC Brooklyn, is a federal administrative facility that houses male and female inmates. Known for its high-profile detainees, the center has been the subject of numerous controversies over the years, including allegations of poor living conditions and inadequate medical care. For Diddy, a man accustomed to the finest things in life, the adjustment to such an environment is undoubtedly a significant challenge. The daily routine at MDC Brooklyn is a far cry from the glamorous lifestyle Diddy once led. Inmates are awakened at 6 a.m. sharp, with breakfast served shortly thereafter. The morning meal consists of cereal, fruit, toast, and a breakfast cake, a stark contrast to the lavish spreads Diddy was once accustomed to. Lunch is served at 11 a.m., and dinner follows the 4 p.m. head count. The menu, which includes options like Swedish meatballs or a black bean burger, egg noodles, green beans, and a garden salad, is a far cry from the gourmet meals Diddy once enjoyed. The food, as revealed by Diddy's lawyer Mark Agnifilo, is perhaps the roughest part of his incarceration. Agnifilo's comments highlight the stark contrast between Diddy's former life and his current predicament. Imagine switching from a rich diet to an average diet suddenly. I can't imagine what Diddy feels like, right? But it is certainly not a good feeling. These depictions paint a grim picture of meals that are not only unappetizing, but also lacking in nutritional value. The reality of prison food is a stark contrast to the gourmet dining experiences enjoyed by celebrities like Diddy, whose lifestyle is characterized by indulgence and luxury. Prison food is typically described as bland and monotonous, with limited variety and flavor. Meals often consist of processed meats, overcooked vegetables, and starchy sides, all served in a cafeteria-style setting. The quality of the ingredients is generally low, and the preparation methods do little to enhance the taste. This is a far cry from the carefully curated dishes prepared by top chefs that Diddy is accustomed to. The nutritional value of prison food is another area of concern. Many former inmates report that the meals are high in carbohydrates and low in essential nutrients, leading to a diet that is unbalanced and unhealthy. This lack of nutrition can have serious implications for the health and well-being of inmates, who often have little choice but to consume what is provided. For someone like Diddy, who is conscious of his health and appearance, the idea of being subjected to such a diet is understandably unsettling. The fear of eating prison food, as rumored in Diddy's case, is not just about the taste or quality of the meals. It is about the broader implications of what it means to be in prison, the loss of autonomy, and the stark contrast to the life of luxury that he has built. Beyond the food, the conditions at MDC Brooklyn present their own set of challenges. The facility has been criticized for its overcrowded conditions, with inmates often sharing small cells designed for fewer occupants. The lack of privacy and personal space is a significant adjustment for someone like Diddy, who once enjoyed the luxury of sprawling mansions and private retreats. The detention center has also faced scrutiny for its inadequate medical care and limited access to mental health services. For Diddy, who is navigating the stress of a high-profile legal battle, the lack of comprehensive support services can exacerbate the challenges of incarceration. The isolation from the outside world, coupled with the uncertainty of his legal future, adds to the mental strain of life behind bars. What's worse is that the prison he's being kept in is the same place they kept Ghislaine Maxwell and R. Kelly, two other notorious convicted sex traffickers. It's not a nice place, and it's called the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, but don't let its outside appearance fool you. It's a notorious prison that reports say has been plagued by outbreaks of violence, unsanitary conditions, and understaffing. Reports say that Diddy is being kept away from other prisoners for now. We don't yet know when Diddy's trial will be, but we can safely assume he'll be in a hurry to get out of that place, and from what we know about it, there's a chance he doesn't even survive until the trial. If that sounds far-fetched, just remember what happened to Epstein, another accused sex trafficker who was miraculously killed in his cell before he made it to trial. What's more is that the Metropolitan Detention Center has a history of deadly stabbings and barbaric living conditions, and people have also said there are maggots in his food. According to a lawyer, at least 4 inmates have died by suicide there in the past 3 years, and just earlier this summer, an inmate was murdered, so you can see why his lawyer is so desperate to get him out of there. Inmates have claimed there are stabbings at least once a week, and one guy even claimed that he saw somebody stabbed in the eyeball with a makeshift knife. Diddy's legal team has been vocal about their concerns regarding his well-being. They have raised alarms about the conditions at the detention center, emphasizing the toll it could take on their clients' mental and physical health. It was later revealed that Diddy was placed on suicide watch to ensure he does cause harm to himself because of his current situation. The revelation that Diddy is on suicide watch has only heightened these concerns, as it suggests a level of distress that is deeply troubling. After some time in jail, his legal team proposed a $50 million bond secured by the equity in his and his mother's houses in Florida. They argued that Diddy had made himself available for detention and had surrendered his passport, along with those of his daughters and mother, to his legal counsel. Despite these assurances, U.S. Magistrate Judge Robin Tarnowski denied the bail request. The decision to deny Diddy bail was not made lightly, as it involved weighing the arguments presented by both the prosecution and the defense. The prosecution, led by U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, painted a picture of Diddy as a significant risk to the community. They argued that his release could lead to potential witness tampering and further further criminal activity. The prosecution highlighted Diddy's alleged substance misuse and anger issues, which they claimed made him a danger if released, even under home detention. The prosecution's case was bolstered by the extensive evidence gathered during the investigation. This included testimony from dozens of witnesses and victims, as well as electronic evidence from Diddy's devices and those of his alleged co-conspirators. The prosecution argued that Diddy's wealth and influence in the entertainment industry could enable him to evade justice or intimidate witnesses, making his release a substantial risk. During Diddy's hearing, the arrival of his family at the Manhattan Federal Courthouse was a spectacle that drew significant attention from both the public and the media. As the family made their way to the courthouse, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation and curiosity. The presence of Diddy's family members was a powerful statement of solidarity as they stood by him amidst the serious allegations he faces. The scene outside the courthouse was a flurry of activity, with reporters and photographers jostling for position to capture the moment. His family all walked into the courtroom in high spirits. The public, too, gathered in significant numbers, some out of support for the hip-hop mogul, others driven by curiosity about the high-profile case. Diddy's twin daughters, Delilah and Jessie Combs, both 17, were among the first to arrive. Holding hands, they walked with a sense of purpose and determination, their expressions a mix of resolve and apprehension. Janice Combs, Diddy's mother, also made her way into the courthouse, her presence a testament to the family's unity and support. The family filled 2 entire rows of the courtroom gallery, a visible show of strength and solidarity. The relaxed-looking rapper appeared to be making a show of having family support while he faces disturbing human exploitation charges, as 6 of his 7 kids appeared in court, and he blew a kiss to his mother on his way out after the 45-minute hearing. "I love you," Diddy said to her. But what exactly are the allegations against Diddy that has led to this situation? Allegations against Diddy and indictment. In the months leading up to September 16, 2024, Diddy found himself navigating a complex web of personal and legal challenges that would ultimately culminate in his arrest by federal authorities. While he maintained a public persona of success and influence, there were underlying issues that hinted at the storm brewing beneath the surface. One of the significant legal issues that Diddy faced was related to financial discrepancies within his business empire. Reports surfaced that federal investigators were scrutinizing the financial records of several of his companies, including Bad Boy Records and Sean John. Allegations of tax evasion and money laundering began to circulate, raising questions about the financial practices within his enterprises. These investigations were part of a broader federal crackdown on financial misconduct in the entertainment industry, targeting high-profile figures suspected of engaging in illicit activities. In addition to the financial scrutiny, Diddy was embroiled in a series of legal battles concerning intellectual property rights. Several lawsuits were filed against him by former collaborators and business partners, claiming unpaid royalties and breach of contract. These legal disputes not only threatened his financial stability, but also cast a shadow over his reputation as a fair and ethical businessman. On a personal front, Diddy was dealing with the pressures of maintaining his public image amidst growing scrutiny. His relationships, both personal and professional, were under the microscope, with tabloids frequently speculating about his private life. Reports of strained relationships with former associates and family members added to the mounting pressure, painting a picture of a man grappling with the demands of his multifaceted life. Despite these challenges, Diddy continued to project an image of resilience and determination. He remained active in the music scene, releasing new projects and collaborating with artists across genres. His appearances at high-profile events and interviews were marked by a confident demeanor as he sought to reassure fans and stakeholders of his unwavering commitment to his craft and business ventures. However, behind the scenes, the federal investigation was intensifying. Sources close to the investigation revealed that authorities were building a case against Diddy, focusing on alleged financial misconduct and potential involvement in organized crime activities. The investigation was shrouded in secrecy, with few details emerging publicly, but it was clear that the stakes were high for the music mogul. As the investigation progressed, Diddy reportedly sought legal counsel and began preparing for a potential legal battle. His legal team, comprising some of the top attorneys in the country, worked tirelessly to address the allegations and negotiate with federal authorities. Despite their efforts, the situation seemed to be spiraling out of control, with the possibility of an arrest looming on the horizon. The tension reached a boiling point in early September 2024, when federal agents conducted a series of raids on properties linked to Diddy. These raids, which were part of the ongoing investigation, resulted in the seizure of documents and electronic devices believed to contain evidence of financial misconduct. The raids sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, signaling that the investigation was nearing a critical juncture. On September 16, 2024, the situation came to a head when federal federal authorities executed an arrest warrant for Diddy. The arrest, which took place at his Los Angeles residence, was carried out with precision and involved a team of federal agents. Among the host of people who have filed a lawsuit against Diddy for different reasons is Thalia Graves. She came forward as the 11th individual to accuse Diddy of having his way with her non-consensually. According to the lawsuit filed in September 2024, Graves alleges that the incident occurred in 2001 at Diddy's New York City recording studio. Graves, who was an aspiring artist at the time, claims she was invited to the studio under the pretense of discussing her music career. However, the meeting took a sinister turn when Diddy allegedly inflicted injuries on her. Graves asserts that she was bound and forcefully laid with by Diddy and one of his employees, an ordeal that was not only traumatic but also recorded without her consent. The lawsuit further claims that the footage of the attack was later sold as pornography, adding another layer of exploitation to the horrific event. Graves has stated that the incident left her emotionally scarred, impacting her personal and professional life for years. The mess does not end there. In a stunning twist of events, New York Mayor Eric Adams, who gave Diddy the keys to the city, has been indicted on 5 counts. His tenure has been marred by controversy and allegations that have now culminated in federal charges. The first whispers of trouble began in early 2023, when rumors surfaced about potential campaign finance violations. By mid-year, federal investigators had started probing into Adams's 2021 mayoral campaign, focusing on alleged illegal foreign donations from Turkey. The investigation intensified in late 2023, with federal agents seizing electronic devices from key figures within Adams' administration, including his chief fundraiser, Brianna Suggs. On September 26, 2024, the situation reached a boiling point as federal investigators executed a search warrant at Gracie Mansion, the official residence of the mayor. All of the controversies, the New York mayor came into limelight during the period Diddy got arrested, and people are trying to draw links between the two incidents. It got more intriguing when the deputy mayor and a host of others in the mayor's cabinet sent in their resignation. A bigger controversy, which has resurfaced since Diddy got arrested, is his link with Tupac's death. Reopening a case as complex and high-profile as Tupac Shakur's murder involves navigating a labyrinth of legal and investigative challenges. The decision by Tupac's family to enlist the expertise of attorney Alex Spiro marks a pivotal moment in the quest for justice. Known for his work on high-profile cases, Spiro brings a wealth of experience and a reputation for tenacity to the investigation, offering new hope for uncovering the truth. The legal process of revisiting Tupac's murder involves a meticulous examination of existing evidence, witness testimonies, and any new information that may have emerged over the years. Spiro's role is to piece together the puzzle, identifying potential leads and connections that may have been overlooked or dismissed in previous investigations. This includes scrutinizing the explosive claims made by Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who alleged that Diddy offered him $1 million for a hit on Tupac. The implications of this investigation are profound, not only for the legacy of Tupac Shakur, but also for the broader hip-hop community. If a link between Diddy and Tupac's murder is established, it could reshape the narrative of one of music's most enduring mysteries, challenging long-held beliefs and potentially altering the perception of key figures within the industry. One of Diddy's most publicized alleged victims is Lil Rod Jones. Lil Rod shocked the world when he filed a 100-page lawsuit that extensively detailed many crimes allegedly committed by Diddy, including grooming, among other things, including serious allegations against high-profile celebrities and members of Diddy's closest associates. According to the lawsuit, Rod is a musical prodigy, and his talents have been used to produce and create music that has been used by some of the biggest names in the industry. It says he met Diddy in August of 2022 after he received a call from him which requested his assistance on Diddy's up-and-coming album titled The Love Album Off the Grid. This would be any up-and-coming producer's dream. Getting a call from one of the biggest names in music to be part of their first album in nearly 20 years would sound like an amazing opportunity. However, according to Rod, this dream would soon become a nightmare. The lawsuit states that from September 2022 to November 2023, Rod worked on and helped produce 9 songs from the album. That doesn't sound like that long, since we know albums can sometimes take years to finish. But what was strange is that Diddy allegedly required Rod to live with him for the entire duration. That's right. For over a year, Rod was effectively spending months at a time with Diddy working on the album. Rod says that he missed birthdays, holidays, and important family events during that time. Sadly, missing out on his personal life was the least of Rod's worries, as the lawsuit claims he witnessed and endured many things that went far beyond what any producer would be expected to do. Things like exploitation, drug use and distribution, providing laced alcoholic drinks to minors, and many more serious crimes. What's even more shocking is that Diddy isn't the only person that's named in the lawsuit. Many high-profile people, like the actor Cuba Gooding Jr., the Oscar-winning actor known for his role in films like Boys in from the hood. The lawsuit claims that Diddy groomed Rod into having intercourse with Cuba and that he even groped him. Cuba, who's been accused of various crimes related to sexual misconduct, has broken his silence on it and has had this to say in his defense.
Your name, for example, was mentioned in the Diddy case.
Which was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Because you barely know
This is the
right?
most ridiculous thing ever. But again, welcome to being a celebrity.
Despite claiming to barely know Diddy and saying the case is ridiculous, the lawsuit shows pictures that appear to be Cuba getting very intimate with Lil Rod. You've got to admit, whoever's in that picture looks very similar to Cuba Gooding Jr., and since his hands are all over Rod, the claims that he did inappropriate things to him might not be that ridiculous. Apart from Cuba, there's a whole host of names implicated in Rod's lawsuit. Like we mentioned before, a world-famous pastor known as Bishop T.D. Jakes was said to have been leveraged by Diddy to soften the impact the Cassie Ventura case had on his public image. While that alone doesn't implicate T.D. Jakes as being guilty of any crimes, it got a lot of people wondering why he was so closely associated with Diddy and his crazy parties that have been notorious for years. In 2022, a video went viral on Facebook which showed T.D. Jakes at Diddy's 53rd birthday party. Even without the alleged criminal activity, Diddy parties have always been known as quite a sinful affair, so what was a pastor doing there? In the pastor's defense, a spokesperson came out to say that Jakes only stopped off at the party after a brief visit since he was in town. A massive part of many of the lawsuits against Diddy is the elaborate sexual nature of Diddy's parties and the so-called freak-offs that occur in them that are alleged to often have homosexual acts being performed. Many think it's entirely inappropriate for a pastor to ever attend a Diddy party, and it's safe to say they're right. We may never know for sure what went on at Diddy's 53rd birthday party in regards to T.D. Jakes, but Diddy's ex-security guard, Gene Deal, who attended many of these parties, had a few things to say about it. He says that back in the day, the crazy sexual stuff would happen behind closed doors, but nowadays it happens out in the open, suggesting that the bishop would definitely have seen some sinful behavior going on. Here's Deal talking about it.
Maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the parties.
Cuba Gooding Jr. and T.D. Jakes are among the long list of names that the Rod lawsuit talks about, but there are some that have been redacted which people are very curious about. Since the Rod lawsuit back in February, Meek Mill's name has constantly been mentioned due to people believing he was one of the redacted names. Since Diddy's arrest, a new viral leaked audio has been circulating that people claim is of Diddy having sex with Meek. Meek Mill has denied the previous allegations and the new ones and said, the two things they say, we snitching or we gay, we generating hundreds of millions from music, it's not a coincidence we all gay and snitches. Meek definitely has a lot more to say, but will not, at least for his own sake, because stuff that he and Diddy allegedly did is not welcome in the hip-hop community. Another victim who sued Diddy was Cassie, but Diddy opted to settle out of court. Besides Cassie, there are other celebrities whose names have been mentioned in Diddy's scandal so far. Other celebrities named in the scandal. In Lil Rod's lawsuit, he mentioned Young Miami and her cousin as a part of those who were forcefully inappropriate with him. The allegations made by Lil Rod against Young Miami's cousin are nothing short of shocking. According to the lawsuit filed by Lil Rod, the events of November 23, 2022 unfolded in a manner that left him traumatized and seeking justice. The atmosphere was typical of many high-profile recording sessions, with music blaring, people mingling, and substances being passed around. Diddy, who was reportedly intoxicated, offered Lil Rod cocaine, which he declined. Feeling uncomfortable, Lil Rod decided to take a break and headed to the restroom. What happened next is at the heart of Lil Rod's allegations. As he was using the restroom, Young Miami's cousin, who was reportedly her assistant, burst into the bathroom. According to the lawsuit, she began groping Lil Rod without his consent. Lil Rod believes that Diddy sent her there to be inappropriate with him, a claim that adds a layer of conspiracy to the already disturbing incident. The documents detail how Young Miami's cousin allegedly dropped to her knees and began performing oral sex on Lil Rod. Shocked and horrified, Lil Rod pushed her away and attempted to leave the bathroom. However, the nightmare did not end there. The lawsuit states that Young Miami's cousin did not accept his rejection and followed him out of the bathroom. In a brazen and disturbing display, she started undressing and attempted to straddle Lil Rod, trying to have sex with him in the presence of Diddy and his staff. Once again, Lil Rod pushed her off, managing to escape the situation. Well, that lawsuit filed by Lil Rod has not been treated fully, and Diddy has not received any judgment on on it yet. Speaking of celebrities involved in Diddy's scandals, in a jaw-dropping revelation, Jason Lee set the entertainment world abuzz with his claim of witnessing an extraordinary gathering at the opulent home of music. Mogul Diddy, the unexpected attendees, none other than the iconic rapper Jay-Z and the influential pastor T.D. Jakes. Although he claimed he did not see anything weird, name-dropping both Jay-Z and T.D. Jakes sure made things interesting and suspicious, because since Diddy was arrested, Jay-Z and T.D. Jakes have been so silent that their silence could cut through butter like a hot knife. Speaking of Diddy's parties, which are nicknamed freak-offs, a celebrity who admitted to attending one of such freak-offs was Khloe Kardashian. She admitted it in a video of Keeping Up with the Kardashians and mentioned that was where she crossed paths with Justin Bieber. The video, which was recorded in 2014, has Khloe telling Kourtney about the wild event that "I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. Well, this party, half the people there were naked. You would have loved it. When Khloe Kardashian admitted to attending one of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, the revelation sent shockwaves through both the public and media landscapes. It's really telling that many celebrities corroborate that Diddy indeed used to host these freak-off parties. It remains to be seen if Diddy will finally be sentenced to time in jail or will be discharged and acquitted. If you enjoyed this video, click on any of the cards displayed on your screen for more.